You will sleep better than you have ever slept. You've never been this relaxed. Are you ready to change your life? I'm Rusty Diamond, certified hypnotist. You don't need to leave your house. You can stay in your bed. You can stay in your favorite chair. You just need a computer or your phone. You can get a hold of me. Stay at home. I'll make your life better.
Hypnosisisgreat.com.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Yo, man. Hello, Miss Rusty and shithead. Welcome to the Public Access Podcast, the podcast here on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. I am your host. My name is Rusty Diamond. Check me out anywhere at rustydiamond.net if you want to do that kind of stuff. And thank you, everyone, for being here. If you are listening to this and you want to go, I wonder what everyone on here looks like. I wonder what Rusty looks like. I wonder what his guests look like. You know what? You can do that. You can go on to YouTube or you can go onto Rumble and you can find that and watch it that way. Or if you're watching and you're thinking, I really love his guests, I love the content, but I don't want to look at Rusty's face. That's okay. Everyone has their opinion, and that's cool. If you don't want to look at my face, that's cool. You can just listen to these soothing sounds of my voice. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, almost probably. There's probably some I'm not on, but there's enough that I am on. You can find the public access podcasts. So thank you everybody again for being here. And it's time for me to bring on my special guest. And my special guest is right here and right now. And my special guest is back again for the third time. We have special guest Gloria Hass. How you doing, Gloria?
Hi, Rusty. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you.
Good.
Not looking forward to summer here in the desert, but
Sure. What's that look like for you when summer comes around in the desert?
well, it's already started. People call it spring wherever they are already in the 80s and 90s.
So, what do you do in that time? Once the summer hits, where are you? What are you doing?
Well, I usually just go out in the early mornings if I have to, and it's sometimes like at 90 in the early morning when it gets later into the summer, 80s and 90s, and it's really heat intense. I hibernate during the afternoons and just do all my indoor stuff.
Sounds like a good idea. There's I forgot what these things were called. I want to say they were called Mother Earth houses or something to that effect, but have you heard of those?
The earth houses, they're under the ground and they stay cool and climate controlled because of underneath the ground. They're even in New Mexico and they're self-isolated. And I'm thinking, but it gets hotter there than it gets here. So I'm wondering how cool that really is. And it's probably like living in a cave or a hobbit house.
Yeah. I mean, you never know when you need a cave or hobbit house. And that I was looking at that looking at moving down to New Mexico and looking at those places, and those things were they were so cool. And where I grew up, there was a house. There was I think they called it the Hobbit House. It was a bunch of these little Hobbit houses in the suburbs, and I we called it the Flintstone House or the Hobbit houses later on. But it was always so cool and so different. But yeah, it's something that is able to go and keep temperature. But I don't know, it cost kind of a bit, and it seemed like a lot of a lot for it. But so then,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
hundreds of thousands of dollars now.
okay, so yeah, so it's pretty penny to keep that going. But then you also have I believe there was a way that they had plants being able to be grown on the inside kind of all year round. Is that something you remember?
And outside too. Yeah,
And now,
because
okay,
they have it to where they grow the plants and then they don't really need grow lights, I don't think. Some might, but they have a natural irrigation watering system that helps go through and keep the plants vital.
which is amazing. And I mean, I think I don't know. I assume it would be some people being upset, like if there were a lot more people that got into that, and that could disrupt a lot of things. But yeah, to be able to have something like that would be pretty neat and fun for and sustainable. And yeah, being able to feel like, yeah, you're not having to, you know, kind of dread the summer. And so then what, I mean, are you like writing more during the summer? Are you is that something more like when you're inside, because it's so hot out? 'Cause, I mean, I kind of ask this about people kind of the same thing, like when when it's like you, because like I don't know, because like I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and like 9, 10 months out of the year it's raining. So like I'm basically hibernating a lot unless I'm going outside. But then there's not a lot of people outside, so then I don't know if it's the same thing with the desert. People, some people outside who probably like it because there's not a lot of people out. But then you're also kind of having to brave the elements. But so when you're in there and you're hibernating, what kind of stuff are you doing
Well,
to
I do a lot of online work. I'm a spiritual reader, intuitive life coach, and I work with clients. And I also sell digital art, so I'm working on that. And yes, I do write more. I'm getting ready for writing a leadership summit for a church in Kenya. I'm getting that worked on, and then I'm going to start my next fiction book. It's going to be 2 books in one, so I'm getting ready to start that
Okay, hold on. We need a little bit to unpack here. Okay, so you're doing a leadership summit
summit.
with a church in Kenya. Is this
Mhm.
remote?
Yes, it's remote.
Okay,
I'm not
that's
yet.
nice. That's so what's that going to look like? What are you doing for that?
Well, I'm writing the presentation because leaders in the area, the pastor there will invite leaders in the area to come. And then what I do is I get a presentation ready, but I have to allow for time of translation. So if you're used to giving a 1 hour talk, expect that to be a 1 to 1.5 hour talk, because some words and phrases we use in English, they have to be translated to Kiswahili and broken down into and modified into the culture of what they're used to hearing. So that I don't know how long it's going to be right now. It's probably at the 45-minute mark, but I'm looking at possibly a 2 hour program with a break after 1 hour.
So then, is it being translated in real time, or is that
Mm-hmm.
something?
No,
So how's it being translated? Is there a translator there, or is it AI that's doing it, or what?
no, there's a translator there, and I will send the message ahead of time. The pastor is going to be translating it for me, and he will be able to read it and get familiar with, the material.
Okay, and so then you have it all set out word for word what you're gonna say.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
typed out into a document. It has to be word for word. It's not something that I have to memorize, but then and I even speak with the pastor about this, some people translate ahead of time and they add their own stuff to it. And I've had that happen with a church in India, to where I stopped working with them because I'm sitting there 7 minutes later, and I'm not lying, that the translator is still going on and on and on and on. And I let the pastor know I wasn't happy with that. He goes, but he's raising up a pastor. I said, it's disrespectful to the person that you're going ahead of time and you're not allowing for the speaker to be able to flow with the Holy Spirit and get things done. So I stopped working with them. And it's all part of, you know, their culture and what they're used to and and who they're willing to work with, and not grandstand their own work. It's, you know, I'm not there to grandstand, I'm there to relay a message. But if somebody translates ahead of time, it could just throw off the entire message. And since I don't know the language, it may take away from the continuity.
And so, I mean, what do you do in that situation when you're sitting there for 7 minutes? And so is the camera just on you and you just sit there and sort of staring off?
Smile.
I mean, that'd be hard after a little while. You're probably thinking in your head, okay, come on, let's get through this. I was on a roll and yeah, it kind of stopped me in my momentum. And
Yeah.
so then the second part is then, so what's your method for memorization of what you talk about or stuff of that nature? Or because yeah, for me it takes a real long time, or I don't know. I've also thought about record or like saying it all out and recording it and then playing it back in my ear and then just sort of reciting what I'm saying, but taking enough time. But then if someone is stopping for 7 minutes, I mean, that probably would throw off your momentum kind
There's
of
no
with whatever.
memorizing. I'm reading it right off a document. There's no
Oh, okay.
memorizing. So
I thought you said you were memorizing it. Maybe
no,
I
I said I don't
misheard that.
have to memorize it. No,
Oh, okay.
sorry. If
Well,
I said
that's
that,
good.
I apologize.
That's all right. I was thinking, well, that's a lot of an hour to memorize of content. Yeah, I don't think I could do that. Trying to get me to memorize like 3 lines is going to be taking probably at least a week to try to remember 3 lines and not biff that. But hey, that's I don't know. There's some people who can do that, and it's great. Like I am very envious of a lot of people who can do that. Just be able to memorize whatever they need to read or whatever they need to act out or whatever it is. But yeah, so then you're able to read off your paper and
Mhm.
okay, and then so after your we were talking about the summit that you said that you were getting back then to writing your
Mhm.
next book, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then so that will be, I mean, you've written a lot of books already. You're already at like 40, 45 or something like that,
Something
books,
like that. Yeah.
something like that. I was just blown away. Like she just keeps on writing books, which is amazing. And so, I mean, you ever like find yourself like, I don't know, is it, I guess, okay. So if you're writing one, are you going to be working on another one at the same time? Or do you have to completely just focus all on one and then wait until you're done with that one to get to the next one?
Exactly. I work on one at a time because I may get notes for another one, and I'll just go ahead and put that in a note file and just put it under the folder with the book. But when it comes to writing these fiction books, I have to sit and relax, and then I'll dictate it into my phone and it'll go into a document. And then I can just go ahead and send it to myself so I can keep with the flow. And then once it's in, let's say an email, then I just go ahead and copy and paste it into the book.
Okay. So are you using like a Google Doc or something like that where you can use your phone and just have it kind of always save on there, or are you using something different?
I actually just either actually on, because my business phone is Google Voice. I
Good
can
call.
actually send a text message from my personal phone to my Google Voice, which I use as my business phone, in a message. So that's what I do. And then I just copy it from there. I just keep it easy. I don't have to add an app. Just go ahead and send a direct message.
I like it. And yeah, are there ever do you go through every one of your messages, or do you have some that just sort of maybe get lost at some point, or are you pretty good with going back and looking through your messages and adding them into wherever they need to get to?
I go back because I can do a search on Google Voice from the web browser and I can look up keywords, and sometimes some things will end up getting missed and I go back and wait a minute, okay, I can add that now. Because, search isn't always perfect. You just have to come up with the right words in order for it to come up.
Right. And I mean, it's amazing how many people don't want to use Google Voice either, that I found, and they just want to use their own phone number and their own stuff, and I don't understand what the thing is with that. I mean, like, because it goes right to your phone and it's
Mhm.
free, and you have a different number, and you got the option of you being able to save all this stuff and be able to kind of see where everything is. And um, I wish it was something that more people were open to, but I mean, the people who are on it, good for them. They're doing something right with that. It's just, yeah, I don't know why what the point is, and I feel, because I don't know, because you never know. I mean, one, you never know who's going to call you, or just have your personal cell phone number. I mean, technically, it is your personal cell phone number, but it's not really. Um, I mean, it's still a different number than your personal number, but I mean, yeah, it still rings to the same phone. But I don't know. I just feel like it's better to have an extra.
Well, I don't always have it ringing to my phone. I just let it stay on there. I have the voice app on my personal phone, so I can put data or Wi-Fi on and I can go and check my messages as I need to. And that keeps my personal information and business separate than my business information, which is easier for me because I don't want to have to keep juggling back and forth on the same phone and miss a business, maybe miss a business call or a business message. And when I know that it's on my business number, it's meaning it's business. Like you said, you don't know who you're going to call, but when it's on the business line, then I do know that it's business related and I don't have to second guess what's going on.
Yeah, because like one thing I can't tell is if someone's calling me from the Google Voice, it doesn't say that it's Google Voice. So maybe I should just turn that off. And I like your idea of having that. Just have them leave a message, and then I'll see it and I can call them back in 3-4 minutes if I need to or whatever. But um, because then I will answer the phone differently if it's my personal phone as opposed to my business phone. One, the name, uh, or two, like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't want it to be someone calling, like, I don't know, for something personal, and I say, oh, hey, this is Rusty Diamond. And they're like, who the hell is Rusty Diamond? What am I calling the wrong place? And I just don't really know for sure. And so yeah, I like your idea. I think I'm going to implement that and take that off. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're
And
welcome.
yeah, so then and then you also were talking about that you got approached to be part of a TV program.
I was,
And
that was the documentary that I had filmed back in 2022.
oh, so it
And
was okay, a
yeah,
couple years back.
it was a couple of years back. Yeah.
So and then
Encounters, the complete interviews.
so how did that come about, and how did that, because that you said that premiered now? I think I should put a Go ahead.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
it came out in January of this year, and it's on Reveal, REVEL.net. It's on Tubi and Amazon Prime. And it on Tubi and Reveal, it is free to watch. And I'm in season 2, the last 2 interviews.
Okay.
I can
See.
send you a direct link for that.
That would be good. That'd be perfect. And then so yeah, I can do that and I can add that into the show notes so people can check that. And then also if you would like to link your newest book, or it was all is it all on your link tree? Because you have a link tree, right?
Yes, it's on my link tree except for
Okay.
encounters. That one's not on there.
Okay,
I
not
could,
yet.
not yet. I should put it on there, but I didn't.
Yeah. Well, you'll get there when it gets there. And so what was that like when when they reached out to you? Like what were you thinking with that? Were you excited or were you questioning it as like if this is the right thing to be doing, or were you all in?
Actually, it was during the time I was writing my book, My Journey is a Great Hybrid. And I received a message to go on Facebook, and I was in this one UFO paranormal group I'm no longer part of. And I went in there and actually went on my Facebook timeline. And whenever I'm to receive a message, the message is right there in front of my eyes once I go on. And the independent film director, William Howard III, was talking about needing people, interviewing people for his documentary. And then I knew I had to reach out. I was to be a part of it because that is the message I received. And I was a little skeptical at first, but it's turned out to be a very good experience. And I've made some new like-minded friends and support systems. So that's important.
Yeah. And so then when they were coming at you with the question, was it like coming at you with the questions like one after another, or were they just letting you talk for a while about whatever? Or were they sort of guiding the story, or how'd that work?
They ask for questions ahead of time and they read whatever material is available to be able to form their own questions. And that's how it came up. And there's a few questions that I wasn't expecting. But what's interesting is when I was asked the question 2 years ago, and even though it's like 14 months or 15 months later that it's released, I thought, wow, that's an interesting question to ask a year and a half before. It didn't make sense, but it was perfect with what the time is right now.
Okay. And so were there any that kind of threw you off then, where or were like
Mm-mm.
that and you're
No,
you're okay answering all of them? There were
yes,
none where it was cool.
and if I didn't want to answer, I could tell him I'm not comfortable answering that, and Bill would move on to another question.
Excellent. So there were some that you decided to turn down. You don't have to tell what they are, but there were some that you weren't.
No, there weren't for me, but there
Oh
were
wow,
for
okay.
some other people who
Cool.
did get interviewed, and they said, they didn't want to talk about it, and one person wanted to remain anonymous, and Bill was good with all of that, of people wanting to remain anonymous, but still wanted to get their story out.
Were you able to watch the other people get interviewed, or was it is it all one-on-one interview, or may not one-on-one, one on their team interviewed, or were you all kind of interviewed at one time and all
We were
got to
interviewed
watch?
individually.
Okay. And so did you talk to the people that you were um in the documentary with?
Oh yeah,
The
he
other.
interviewed everybody, one-on-one. Some of them, I was the only one at the time that was not on location. We had to do it, remotely because of being like 2,500 miles apart. With the other people, he went to where they were, or they met in, close, they met at a mutual place to meet.
Okay. So then, yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, at least you have a good setup and you sound and look great. So I mean, that's easier to work with than I don't know, because yeah, definitely been some ones that could be difficult to do that. So, and it's nice not having to travel 2,500 miles to to do some work.
Well, actually, after I contacted him, he had been in the area. Was only
Oh,
7 hour drive away, but I didn't at that time. I didn't know that, so I contacted him after the fact, after he was already home in North
okay.
Carolina.
So if you're doing a 7 hour drive, uh, let's say you have unlimited time to get there. What does a 7 hour drive look like for you? Are you
I don't
driving seven
drive.
hours?
I
You
don't
don't
drive.
drive.
He would have driven to me where he was. He would have come
Oh,
to
okay.
me. So no, I don't drive.
Gotcha. Yeah, so are you walking mostly to get around, or do you have a different mode of transportation, or
I have a
what's
different mode of transportation, and there are
okay,
some things that are close by I walk.
cool, okay. That's a good way to do it. And so yeah. Okay, yeah, because yeah, 7 hour drive is
I did that in my
it's
younger years when I was a traveling evangelist and also drove cross country and I traveled and no. I would need well, even if I did drive right now, I would feel more comfortable going with someone than going by myself these days.
yeah. And so what was that like? What was being a traveling evangelicalist? Evangelical, is that correct?
Evangelist.
Evangelist. Evangelist. So what was that like?
It was fun. I enjoyed it, and I owned an RV, and I had a miniature schnauzer for my dog, and I lived in my RV full time and met people from Oklahoma and stuff like that, and in different, from Texas and everything. And I remember one time I'm sitting 1 block from the beach in California. They became non-affordable. It wasn't affordable to live there. A lot of people left because they raised the rates from 200 a month to 1,000 a month because they
Oh,
could. Yeah. And I'm like, no. So that's when I moved to Arizona. But it was fun because some people I met, I get a phone call and they said, why don't you come out? I believe you're to come here. So I drove to Oklahoma and I stayed at RV park and I knew someone there. And it ended up my needing to meet a Christian publishing house that had just opened and they were looking for work. And I did some ghostwriting and then I would meet someone I had met through some groups, I think Yahoo groups. This was way back. And I would meet with them in Tennessee. And along the way, I would talk to people because of my dog. People would say, hey, that's a great dog. And start opening up conversation. And people would just start opening up and talking to me about their life and their spiritual life. So I was able to, in a non-invasive way and in a gentle, loving way, be able to talk with them about Jesus. And they said, well, I don't go to church anymore. I said, do you own a Bible? Well, yeah. Why don't you just read it and develop that personal relationship again with Jesus? You don't have other people involved who muddy up the waters. And eventually some of the people ended up finding a really nice church to go to. And others, I don't know what happened to, we lost contact. And that was a non-invasive way. My dog had a way of drawing people who I needed to speak with to me. I didn't have to go hunting.
yeah, and yeah, the people will come to you. They'll come to you when they're, whether it's to you're bringing them in, like your energy or whatever it may be, or the dog's energy, or just them getting there, is yeah, half the half the battle. And so you talked about ghostwriting too. Where do you stand on ghostwriting? And did they want to, was it pitched as having something ghost written, or
Mhm.
was it
It was, I had ghost written one of the books that the person had started. He was also working another job, but I didn't go into more ghostwriting at all.
Did
No, that was
one
it was a one-time thing. So
okay, and so yeah, so you don't really, I don't know, because I mean that'd be hard to do. I think, especially if you're, an artist as you are, and to not have people know. Did that, was that hard to do and be like, okay, hey, you know what, I did write that. I'm the ghostwriter, but
no, it
what
was
can you?
something that the person, not pastor, but the person was experimenting with to see, and I was able to pick up his voice throughout the remainder of the book. It was coming from a not creative part. It's like throwing in my creative energy, but having to pick up his energy to be able to get the books written, because I need to write from a male point of view where I'm a female. And that wasn't easy to, to get the energy, to jive and jingle in that way. But it worked.
How'd you do that? How'd you put yourself into writing as he would?
That's what I do as an intuitive. I pick up on other people's energies, and I can, being an empath, I can feel what that feels like. And then I can go ahead then, and it's almost like it's channeling his energy into the words and things like that.
So did that come pretty easily for you to be able
Hmm.
to do that and just
Yeah, I'm natural
uh
born being able to do that.
yeah, and so was that something you thought of when you or before you started doing the ghostwriting, that that would be something that you could do, or was it once that he pitched it to you that you said, oh, okay, I could do it this way because of this skill and gift that I have?
I didn't talk to him about that. I just knew that I could do it. I've always, even as a child, I knew when things weren't right. Okay, when I was a child, I would get 30, gosh, we're talking about the 1960s, and getting 10 cents or 30 cents or 25 cents for an allowance. And I had little figurines in places because my money would disappear. And I knew it was my mom. I could feel that it was my mom. At first, my brother would come in and take the money. And then I could feel his energy. So then I started hiding it in places. And then when I went to go get my money, it was completely gone. And I was upset. I went to my dad and my mom and I said, Mom is taking my money. And she goes, I didn't take your money. I go, yes, you did. But it's amazing how within a few days that she found all of my change. She said, well, you had $2. So I'm giving you $2 bills. I found them while dusting in your room. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Caught it red-handed.
Oh, yeah. And even though she lied about it, my dad just, and she would take my money even as a teenager and stuff. And I would go to my dad and say, I can't go out with my friends. Mom took all my money. And she would, because she would smoke more, she would need money for her cigarettes. And my
Sure.
brother spent money as fast as he got it because he found that if he didn't, it would be taken by my mom, by our mom.
So then what did you I mean, did you eventually find a way to find a better spot to hide it, or did you end up going to spend it more, or what
I
was
would
sort of
take it
your?
with me. I would take it with me to school. And then I found I would hide it in my closet. And then when my mom couldn't find it, I came home and my entire closet was the things were all over the floor of my room. And she found my money. And she said,
Whoa.
I didn't like the way your closet looks, so you need to rearrange it.
Wow, yeah, just okay, yeah, that's one way to do it. And then
So
so
then
then
I
I mean, what did
hmm,
that teach you? Sorry, what did that teach you for later on in your life?
can't trust people.
That's fair enough, yeah.
I can't trust my mom, couldn't trust my dad. But my dad would back me up if I would tell him, he goes, aren't you going out tonight? I said, no, I don't have any money. He goes, like, what about your allowance? I said, mom spent it, it's gone. And he would hand me more than what I had. And he said, and keep the rest of it. So, I knew that my dad was fair, even though there were some areas I could not trust him in. He was at least fair when it came to dealing with mom, because he knew how she was. But
Yeah.
I knew that I had to watch my back with my mom, and it taught me defense skills. And then instead of reacting, I would start reading people's energy. Can I trust them? Can I not trust them? And I still do that today. I feel it's more natural. I don't have to. Some people I put forward more of an effort if I want to know, can I get closer to this person? And there are other times when people's energy hits me right off the bat, whether they're someone I can trust or they're not trustworthy.
Yeah.
And
And
somewhere in the middle, I don't know. So it's like, give that time and then see how it goes.
yeah. And I mean, so for the most part, like, are you right now, as far as with a lot of your interactions, is it mainly uh like not in person, mainly on online and stuff of that
Mhm.
nature? And
Yes.
so yeah, I mean it is good. And that's something I've also found out over the last few years. Like I can kind of go with about that same pace. Like I can have some people that like I can tell like this is just don't go near this person. And it's not as though we're in these larger groups where we have to go meet up with, let's say, 20 people, and five of them you don't want to be around at all. You don't, but you have to because you have to do some sort of meetup. And then you got, maybe 10 where you're like, I don't really know. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt for now, but I have my eye on them. And then you get some people you're like, okay, well, I can work with this. This seems all right. I don't know if the numbers quite line up with that with you, but yeah, I find it nice that I don't have to often be in a big group of people where there's some people I just don't want to be around. Like I can tell right off the bat, I mean, it doesn't take a lot of more than one person. It can be one person who can mess up a crowd of 20 people.
Well, sometimes there is some local groups I could meet up with, and some are 20, some are 100. But when being an empath, if I walk into that, all of that energy hits and it's draining. And it's like, I'm looking forward to the meeting to be over so I can rejuvenate. And there are times where, they're like, where you go, it's like I have to excuse myself to get out of the room just to be able to breathe again. So I do a lot of my networking online. There's online networking groups that I can join, on Zoom. And if I need to, I just put stop video, mute you know, um, my microphone. I can still hear them talk, but I can walk around and breathe. And if it's a smaller group, it's easier to manage the different energies.
Yeah, and so I got given a book because when I was going to like a I don't know therapist or psychologist, psychiatrist, um, gave me a book, and because I would that would happen to me, and um, it was kind of an interesting thing. So there's a part in the book it talks about being able to sort of have a bubble around yourself, like to picture a bubble around yourself that won't be able to take in these people's energy and like but to actually like think about it. But then that's also like I can,
The
yeah, go
bubble
ahead.
doesn't always work.
Right. It
And then
doesn't
if
always
I
work.
have that bubble, then I'm sealed off from that person's energy to know, to be able, I could read it, but not as well. So I would, and it's like you're closing yourself off. So when you put a bubble and close yourself off, I can see putting a bubble when I'm by myself, just so I can, just breathe and be able to release whatever emotions and just keep everything self-contained. But when you're in a meeting and you have a bubble and body language and your facial expressions and your energy is going to be closed off, and somebody's going to feel that and see it and say, I don't want to work with that person. So you still have to be out there and outgoing, but it's before and after the meeting is when I do my self-care.
It's a good point, because I mean, yeah, it's hard to, and then it's like, why am I spending my time with this group? Like this is, and that's a hard one too. Sometimes just like I feel drained. I feel, and then yeah, I have to do something before and after, just to kind of get myself back to homeostasis and back to feeling okay. Just because yeah, so much is just drained from it, and it's it's not worth it. And it's so it's nice to be able to just have, you don't have to do it that often, and you're around it when you are. But yeah, it's good to know, I guess, beforehand that you're gonna have to have some self-care before and after,
Mhm.
and it's just plan that time. Don't don't book anything those next days, or
Actually,
however long it takes.
within hours, it's no different than working with a client. Um, I recently, I recently fired a client after a week of work. I told them, because I was hearing from them, and they would send me audio files with like anywhere up to 10 questions of how they should live their life. And I'm like, I'm not a horoscope. I'm not a super 8 ball. I'm not that magic 8 ball that you shake and, it
Right.
says, ask again later. And they're like, why aren't you picking up this energy? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you telling me that? And on the last session, I sent them a letter, which I kept, because I do my spiritual readings and my life coaching. I like to do it in letter format and put a graphic up there that is relevant to it. And I'm able to sit and relax and go through everything all at once instead of one-on-one and then wanting to know immediate answers and you don't have them. And I wrote to the person and said, you need to make your own choices and decisions in life. I can't do that. No one can do it for you. And I was setting up healthy boundaries, of which they got upset about and complained about. So I knew this was a person who needed to be right all the time, who had to have their way, and they aren't willing to listen to make their life better than what it really is, because they just wanted all the answers. They wanted, okay, if I enter this, let's say I go to this job interview, or I'm going to enter let's say a beauty contest. Will I win? I don't want to enter if I'm not going to win. There are no sure bets in life.
Right.
And they're like, well, and anything, I can give a reading, and sometimes I pick up on information that may have been in their past, their present, their future, or someone they know. I've had that happen. They said, no, that message is for, you're just passing on a message. So they pass on a message. But if you want a sure bet in life, you're not going to have it. And the person, I told them no more. And yeah, that stops money from coming in. But I was so drained every time I heard from this person because of, being shot questions up to 4 times a day. And it's just like, sometimes I would wait and let, the questions go until the next day. And I started, I was working with other clients. So it's like, okay, let's do this in an orderly fashion. What work do I have scheduled? And then I would put them at the bottom. And as I get down to them, then I would go ahead and do that. But there are no sure bets, people. And there are some people, psychics, mediums, who make up information. I've had that happen. Someone gave me a reading, and then I was like, that is so not in, and it never transpired. But then I also had someone walk up to me many years ago and said, you need to get out of your situation. Do you need help? And they saw me being locked up and human trafficked. And I was not in that position, but within 2 months I was, through someone I knew.
So,
And
and what
mhm.
sorry, so how did that turn from you thinking that they don't know what's going on to, oh, here is, do you think it's something that maybe got made into existence, or was it something that was, going to happen regardless? Or what, I
It
mean,
was going to happen regardless.
okay.
There's
And
some things that you can see that is happening, and it's going to happen regardless of the situation.
okay. And so then what was happening when you started noticing that this was it? Did you reach back out to this person, and or did you say anything beforehand? Did you say you're not right? I don't see this, or and then
Mhm.
eventually uh go back and say, hey, I actually you were right.
I had to
Is
wait till I got out of being confined and held as a prisoner. And then I was able to send a message. And she said, I've been praying for you every day.
you get to
So
thank her?
yes, in an email.
That's good.
Actually, yeah, in an email message, because I had left a voicemail and she sent me an email back.
How does it feel for you to be wrong? What
I
does that
was
mean to you? To for not just for that, but just in general. Uh, where are you when you find out that you're wrong about something?
I was, sometimes if I don't see it coming, there's some things that is naturally blindsiding in life because I didn't see any of the signs for it to happen. And it was like an overnight thing, boom. And, I was taking precautions to be safe. And to me, it was an overnight thing. And the person said, well, you can move a piano across the room 1/4 of an inch every day, and no one is going to notice that it was never on the right side of the room, and that they always thought it was there when actually it started on the left side of the room. Excuse me. So that was a lesson in life for me to learn, to see about gradual changes, to build up that part of defense for my life.
And I mean, do you feel like it's sort of a leading question, but like, I mean, do you feel like being wrong, I guess, usually for me ends up meaning that I learned something.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, it's always like for me, like it has to be hard to, or maybe really easy to go through life never thinking that you're wrong, or never thinking that like I have all the answers already. Like, so I mean, you have someone like that. Like, what can you really do to help them out, to help them grow? And if they're just thinking that if they already know the answers, what are they going to anybody for? Obviously, they want some answers, but what? I mean, maybe
They
they
want
don't.
to, they want to hear what they want to hear. They want you to tell them what they want to hear. And that's what it comes down to. They don't want to take accountability for anything going wrong in their life. I'll give you my mom as a situation. She always had to be right, make everything look like she had it all together. And I'm noticing this as a pattern with some of the other people who have a need to always be right about everything. And it's like, you make up my mind for me. And if it doesn't go the way that you say it's going to go, you're the one to blame. I just followed your directions, your instructions. And It's like they want you to live their life for them because they want to make it to where they didn't make mistakes, because they have a hard time even reconciling their mistakes from the past. And I had learned that I had a need to be right, because controlling over always being told how stupid and wrong I was by my parents and my half brother. So through therapy, I was able to overcome that and learn that if you always have a need to be right, there's no room for growth and expansion and change for the better in your life. And all you're going to do is close everything down to where you feel you're stuck. You're going to be stuck in life doing the same thing, building a trench, you're in quicksand and you're going down, and you basically don't have the tools to expand. And if someone really wants to change that, they can go to someone like me or, a therapist, get the tools and implement them in their life and overcome that emotional garbage they have, and, shed the past and forgive themselves and be grateful that they're getting new tools to expand into a new way.
And I mean, how great is that to be able to forgive the others and forgive yourself, and especially if it was something where it's that where you have people who think that they're never wrong, or the may or may not be some sort of narcissistic type of deal or whatnot, and there's not really anything that anyone can do against it, and it's just learning, like, okay, like that's them and this is me. I'm not them, they're not me. How, like, just having that how can I is so powerful, to have that, just not like, oh, I already know. Like, how can I is such a powerful thing. So like if you have someone coming up to you and saying, how can I, um how can I work with you, Gloria? Where can I where can I find that place on the internet? As opposed to, yeah, I already know, you can tell me something and I know what I want to hear, and if you don't hear it, I'm gonna say you're wrong.
Mhm.
um
And
but
that's
so
a
if
person's choice.
that's the person's choice, but what are they gonna get? What they're gonna be searching forever, thinking that it's something else, when all they need to do is look within themselves and ask, how can I better this situation? I'm wrong. I'm wrong about something, or I haven't learned something. There's room to grow. Not just everything's against me. Everything is against me. This is someone else's fault that I am the way I am. But like, it's okay to be like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Someone, I can get better. I can get better. I can do this. And so if, yeah, they want to do that, I mean, how are they gonna reach out and find you then?
Well, you have the link to my link tree. I'm on Twitter, which is now known as X. I'm on Facebook. Just look up my name, Gloria Hass. And if you see any of my videos on Rumble, in the description of the video, my email address is there. Or just reach out and send a message to Gloria Hass, the number 5, at gmail.com.
Okay. What's the significance of number 5?
That's what Google came up with.
Okay. All right. That works out all right. Google knew. Five is one heck of a number. So I don't know. It's always kind of been my number. Always stuck with the 5. So it's a good thing. At least in my world, whatever that is, whatever my world is. But yeah, so thank you for being here, Gloria, and I'm happy we got to talk. And yeah, I'll have to have you back on. I'm going to take a little bit of a break from the show during the summer, um, and come back in like the fall. So that'll probably be around the right time to get you back sometime in September, October or something. If you'd like to come back and do the show
Yes, I
again.
would. Yeah, I'm going to be
Okay.
taking the summer off for interviews. because my internet is really sporadic because the heat of the ground, it just screws up internet connection all over the place. So I'm not on the internet as much during the summer. And that's
Interesting.
why, yeah, I do my reading and my writing and also listen to some audiobooks. That's my time to rejuvenate. And then I'll start coming back into scheduling, and starting in September.
Perfect. So then that lines up well. We can both do our summer stuff, rejuvenate, come back all ready to yeah, just go and get back into it. I mean, we're still doing other stuff, but just
Right.
not internet-y stuff.
And since I don't meet with people one-on-one on my spiritual readings, um, I go ahead and I put everything in letter format so I can read an email when my internet is up, and then I can write it, and then I can send it when my internet is stable and stuff like that. So that doesn't stop. My business doesn't stop. I just don't meet with people one-on-one.
Excellent. Okay. Well, yeah, that works out all right. And yeah, still keep on going. So yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day and get to hopefully, yeah, stay cool or be able to still do what you're doing and do what you do. And yeah, happy to see you again. And we'll keep in touch, all right?
All righty, and thank you, Rusty.
You bet, Gloria. All right, that's Gloria Hass. So thank you everyone for being here. Check out Gloria. I'll put a link tree down there in the comments, or not the comments, but the comments if you're on Facebook or something, but I'll put it in the show description, episode description. And thank you everyone for being here. If you want to check out me, rustydiamond.net, hypnosisisgreat.com, whatever. Yeah, you can find anything. Easy to find. So thank you everybody for being here. Very much appreciated, especially if you're here at the end of it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And that is the show. Man. Boom.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.